Say, man, you see my crab cakes? Till I'm all alone. If you see my crab cakes, tell her things went wrong. Don't call on the phone and bring a black dog home. A little tartar too. Come on, little girl, tell me what you want to do. Them Maryland crab cakes are the best in town. Them Maryland crab cakes are the best in town. So come on, baby, let's get Louisiana down. If you see my crab cake, have you seen my crab cake? If you see my crab cake, tell I'm all alone. Tell her I still love her, and when she come back home.
It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. And we're coming to you live from the Billy C studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening. Whenever you're listening, hope you're doing all right. Special shout out to WMML. That's right. It's my favorite little old station, right in the Glens Falls, Lake George, Queensbury area. Got to give a shout out to all my listeners on WMML. Hey, what's going on, guys? What's going on, person? I don't know. Don't forget the show is being brought to you in part by Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service. You know if you need a limo, and you know if you're someplace in the U.S. of A. you know you need to call my girl Kat. 202-351-7496. Kat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service, the official limousine service of this year's BillyCBoxing Hall of Fame induction weekend ceremony gathering, whatever you want to call it. It's taking place November 16th, 17th, and 18th. Make your plans now for forever. Hold your peace, I guess. You know, you better get a ticket now. Visit the website www.BillyCBoxing.com and click one of the BillyCBoxing Hall of Fame posters, which are on the right side of the screen and the left side of the screen. Still waiting for Curon to give us an update on that one. He's dropping the ball. He's too busy with his sleuth hat on because he's in the UK searching for hidden news in the sport of boxing. But my man Curon will update that ASAP. And speaking of updates, well, I'll get to that in a second. But don't forget, call Kat. Remember, she's my girl. That's the main part of that whole thing. She's mine. 202-351-7496. The show is also being brought to you in part by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, whether you need, some contracts drawn up, maybe you need someone to look at a contract that someone gave you. Maybe you have a matrimonial issue, real estate, a will. You need to know how to spell my name to leave all your valuables to me. Don't leave me any pets, okay? Just cash. I don't know, man. If maybe you even have a criminal issue you need resolved, well, you need to use the lawyers that keep my ass out of trouble, and that's Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call, 845-221-4099. Tell them Billy C sent you, and tell them I'm going to pick up the consultation fee. That's right. Tell them I said that. They love it, because then they know they're not going to. Then they know they got to find a lawyer to sue me. No, 845-221-4099. Campanaro and Tomkovich. They definitely do it right. And I'll tell you what, when you do go in that office, just remember what I told you about all the gorgeous women in that office. It's worth it just to go, punch a cop in the face or something and have to get a lawyer to get your ass out of trouble. Campanaro and Tomkovich, 845-221-4099. And, of course, this show is being brought to you in part by my friends over at the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls. If you're listening through WMML and you haven't checked this place out, man, I don't know what you're waiting for. Put the can of Bud down, spit out the chew, forget about shoveling the old cow barn. Head on up to the Halftime Bar and Grill and have some fun, will you? They always got drink specials. There's always some food specials there. The outdoor section of the facility is open now, which is worth the trip in itself. Check them out. You can call ahead if you want, 518-792-4869. That's 792-4869. Tell them Billy C sent you. And if you're man or woman enough to try the Billy C hot sauce, order a dish of wings or boneless wings and tell them you want the Billy C hot sauce. Make sure Craig makes it. You got to ask for Craig to make it because he knows how to do it. 518-792-4869. Coming up in a little bit, we got the blast from the past, Alex Pierpaoli. He's going to present Georges Carpentier, former world heavyweight title challenger. He's a former world light heavyweight world champion. He's a Hall of Famer. Thing about this guy, we're always talking about Manny Pacquiao and, does he use steroids? How does a guy go from that weight with no punching power all the way up to knocking guys out? Well, I got news for you. In the 20s, Carpentier started out as a flyweight, and he was fighting for world heavyweight title. So, I think he's got Manny beat a little bit, So we'll talk about him a little later on the show. Also, the infamous Joe Santoliquito, he's scheduled to join us. Now, I do have a programming note. There will be no live show on Friday. Now, don't worry. All the Fight Now and radio stations will be getting a copy of a show to play. But all the live viewers and also the premium podcast subscribers, there will not be a live show for you on Friday. I apologize for the last minute, but I want you to instead tune in, look for me. I'm going to be doing a commentary. I'm going to be doing a live broadcast in Florida And the promotion company is Alessi Promotions. Now, I don't even, it came at such a last minute. I'm not even sure what the main event is or anything else. I know there's a couple of really good fighters on that card, and I'm real excited about going down there and working that show. So definitely check it out. It will be a webcast. It'll be located someplace on the internet. So definitely check that out. It's Friday night, and hopefully I'll have some more information for you on that tomorrow. Before I say bon voyage. So hopefully we'll get your support to tune in and listen to me so you can make fun of me, man. So you can make fun of me. That's right. So that's what's happening. And speaking of premium podcasters, don't forget, man, anybody that's listening to the show, now we know that you're watching or listening to the show. There's many different ways. I mean, it's all over the place. I lost track. But, you know, if you're watching it or listening to it in a way, and you wonder what this premium podcast is, here's the bottom line: it's $15. That's right. Yeah. It costs you a couple bucks. $15 a year, though, and what it gives you access to is all of our content, even special stuff that post-fight shows and stuff that not everyone gets. So you get that, and here's the thing: it's not that you're paying for something that no one else can get. However, you're paying for the convenience. It's a $15 a year convenience to listen to whatever show you want, whenever you want. Now, that also opens up the archive, so you get access to all of the shows. Now, that's something that everyone else does not have. So check it out. It's real easy to do. It's like I keep telling everybody, to become a premium subscriber, $15. I mean, you can't even go to a bar and buy 2 beers and tip the bartender for that. So come on, man. If you're not willing to pay $15 to get a minimum of 10 hours a week of boxing content, then I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you're a cheapskate. I don't know, man. I don't know. Unless you don't need it. Hey, if you don't need if you're watching or listening to the show and everything is groovy, then don't worry about it. But, if you're complaining sometimes, I click this and, I can't fast forward it. I had to go to the bathroom. I come back. I had to listen to it again. I'm sick of listening to the same thing over and over. I can't forward it or whatever. That's the beauty of the premium. You can do whatever you want with it. You can fast forward it. You can play it on a computer. You can have it automatically downloaded to your iTunes. All that stuff. So check it out. The easiest way to sign up for that is visit the website www.talkinboxing. That's right. Not BillyCBoxing, which you can do. You can sign up on BillyCBoxing too. But TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. There's like it's splattered right on the front page. You just click it, and it takes you right to where you gots to go. So anyway, mailbag. Yep, we got a mailbag full of some emails, and we'll kick it off with guess who? That's right, my man, Given Quality. And, he's cutting me up here, man. And I know it's in good taste because he wouldn't have taken the time to even write it if he really was slaying me like the Dragon Slayer he is. But I would say that, we all know Given Quality's got the Mayweather pajamas and everything else. But he was very mad at me when I said that. I don't have any pajamas. I don't have feety pajamas or posters. I just recognize talent. But anyway, that was another mail. That was another email. Yesterday's email, he says, you might want to start proofreading these mailbags before you go live on the air, because you stutter. Yeah, I know. I had a rough day yesterday. I did. I was like, I tell you what, Given Quality, you know what it is? You want to know the truth? I'm not going to lie to him. I'm not going to BS anybody. You know what the truth is? I'm an old fat bastard is what it is. That's the truth, man. I'm old. I'm 50 years old, man. I can't see. Don't you notice I'm holding these things? I'm like, let's see. This one from. Now, who's calling me a whippersnapper? Somebody was calling me an old man. It's like, well, I can't see anymore. Hold on, let me straighten out my tooth. But no. I'm not cutting up on the Glens Falls. No, I meant my own tooth. But speaking of tooth, speaking of tooth. Go home and brush your tooth. No, speaking of teeth, I gotta go to the dentist. Yeah, I'm still in another world because I have to get tires for my car. Right? They give me an estimate. They give me an estimate of $1,200 for tires, for 4 tires. I mean, come on, man. I'd rather ride a horse. Anyway, my man Given Quality says I need to proofread the stuff. One of the things is I like to read them off the cuff, and be shocked, be devastated, when somebody says something. So I apologize for the stuttering John move, but give a shout out to my man Mac. He just popped in the chat room. I'm a little pissed off at him. He promised me he was going to hook me up with some hot Filipino women from his office. Nobody sent me any plane tickets. Nobody sent me an invitation. I didn't even get a picture from any of them. He says, go up to my Facebook account. You'll see their pictures. Come on, you lazy bastard. But anyway, he says, not enough boxing people. I'm talking about Given Quality. He says, not enough boxing people in the sport of boxing. Thank the net, and that's a quote. I guess he's got it in quotes because that's what I say. He says, thank the networks and the media deception for that problem, Billy C. The sport doesn't market the field of boxers out there. The media only focuses on certain guys they have their ties and influences and money invested in. Don King is gone, and as soon as Arum is gone, things may change forever. I can't deny that statement to a degree. It's 100% true that the networks and the powers that be, and I've said this a lot, that I honestly believe we have some very talented fighters out there. But the fear and the money that gets involved with, investing in these guys, and the fear of them losing their value, which has been connected with an undefeated record, and especially with the networks who feel that, we can't put on a fight unless it's for a championship. That's fed the deluded champions as well. So it's not only, it's a quadruple whammy here because you got the dilution of champions. You have the fallacy that you're only a good fighter if you have an undefeated record. You have fighters that are fighting weak opposition, then they get into that big fight and look like the garbage that they are. So he's very right on this one. He hits it home. Here's the only thing I disagree with him. Don King and Bob Arum. Now, I know Given Quality hates Bob Arum, but for what these two guys did for the sport of boxing, now, I know you can say negative stuff because, when you look at the business end, people get pissed off and everything else. And a lot of people believe that Bob Arum is really one of the biggest stumbling blocks with the possibility of Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. But, what these guys have done, when it's all said and done, I think you're going to have to respect them. Whether you like them or not, you're going to have to respect both of them. And the reason being is because they were able to rise to the top. And in a sense, we've put the control of this sport in their hands and in Golden Boy. There's only 3. And all these other promoters that want to be promoters, they're waiting for these guys to get on their shows. And it's terrible. When Bob Arum and Don King are no longer promoting and no longer with us, obviously, what's going to happen? Who's going to step up? You think Dan Goosen and Gary Shaw are going to be there to fill the void?
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Roselli Enterprises. Roselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flow boys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Roselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RoselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the IDO computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the number 15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IDO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the number 15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at IBOBoxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now. or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C. dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day, everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C. show. And hopefully you're watching one of the many, many replays of it, especially on LDL TV. My man John and his top-notch crew. I mean, he's got some talented people, but the only ones I'm interested in is Michelle and Dawn. Oh, Johnny. Anyway, doing the email me, Mac. I just, yeah, right. He says, yeah, you're a rich man. Yeah, I'm rich, all right. Maybe in cholesterol and fat content, but drop me an email, my man, and I'll tell you how you can do it. Hey, we just recruited my man Mac. He's would love to have him cover some the Filipino boxing scene for us. And all he's got to do is drop me an email, and he's in, man. He's in. But anyway, I'm reading some emails, part of our mailbag. I just got done with my man Given Quality. He was making fun of me, but then he came up with a pretty good statement, and I commented on that. Now I got one from T. Bruce. Now, I think T misunderstood me here, but T. Bruce says, ha, Bradley versus Floyd. That's the subject in the email. He says, Billy, laugh OL, or LOL, laugh out loud. That was some funny, and I'm just gonna have to replace some words, okay? That was some funny crap that you said the other day. Floyd wouldn't fight Bradley. LMAO means, in case for some of you older guys out there, older than me, that means laugh my ass off. You know, he says Floyd wouldn't fight Bradley. He goes, man, that was some silly crap, he says. Bradley is a junior welterweight, got knocked silly by Holt. That's why Pac is fighting him, because they expect him to KO him in 3 rounds. Bradley needs to fight some legit top 10 welterweights before he fights the hardest puncher at welterweight. Are you referring to Mayweather as the hardest puncher at welterweight? Okay, whatever. This fight reminds me of Hatton versus Floyd, an elite welterweight cherry-picking a junior welterweight. Welterweight. Bradley is bulky, slow. Yes, he has skills. Yes, he makes adjustments, but this fight is coming too soon. If he went to welterweight, Ford, Ortiz, and Berto to see how he can deal with the toughness and work rate of big, strong, fast guys, then maybe. But I'm sorry, Pac only fights guys he thinks he can beat, and he's fighting Bradley for a reason. If Floyd was making him come up to welterweight for a fight, I would be just as mad and almost as ashamed, because he did that with Juan Manuel Marquez and Ricky Hatton, and I placed an asterisk next to those victories. You kill me with that crap. You was talking. LMAO. First of all, T, I never said that. You must have misunderstood me. If I said that he's never fighting Bradley, I said Floyd wouldn't fight Bradley. I didn't mean because he was afraid of Bradley. I meant that there's no reason for him to fight Bradley, all right? So you better slow that down. Number one, I never, ever said that Floyd was ducking Bradley or anything like that. I said that Bradley was a good opponent for Manny Pacquiao. I agree with what you say here about him as a welterweight. He tried it once, remember? Bradley's only fought at welterweight one time. And he didn't look that good. All of a sudden he thought he had knockout power and everything else. So I agree that I didn't think that he should be moving up to welterweight. At all. As far as cherry picking, I think that Bradley will bring a tough fight to Pacquiao. Nothing to do with Floyd. And listen, I think we all agree that both of these guys are cherry picking their opponents. The only little asterisk I'm going to give to Floyd is the fact that his last two fights have been really on the other fighter's terms, whereas Manny Pacquiao, and again, I know this contradicts what I say all the time. When you sign a contract, that's the deal. I mean, you got to shut the F up and just do it, but the bottom line with this is I never for a minute said that Bradley wouldn't or Floyd wouldn't fight Bradley because he was afraid of him, right? Never. And if I sounded like that was my opinion with whatever wording I stumbled across, you heard Given Quality say I've been a stuttering fool the last 2 days, then I apologize. But I had never, ever in a million years thought that Bradley, that Floyd was ducking Bradley for any way, shape, or form. Never thought it. I happen to like Timothy Bradley. I think he's a lot more talented than you think, T. But the bottom line is I don't think that Floyd has to fight Bradley. I don't think Floyd needs to fight Bradley. As a matter of fact, Bradley shouldn't even be on Floyd's list, his short list. There's one name, maybe two. And I don't even think Floyd needs to fight Sergio because, for all the Sergio lovers out there, I like watching him fight. I know he's a feel-good story, and I'd like to see him get that big fight. But I don't think he's as talented as a lot of the bandwagoners for Sergio Martinez think. I think Floyd beats Sergio, easily, as a matter of fact. But the bottom line is I think Floyd, really, there's only two names out there. Sergio, one of them, even though I think that he beats Serge. But the other one's Pacquiao. That's it. There's no one else, in my opinion, for Floyd Mayweather. I'm sorry. There just isn't, Mac from the Philippines is saying Amir Khan versus Floyd, and I don't even think that. Amir Khan. The problem with Amir Khan and Floyd Mayweather, in my opinion, is that Amir Khan doesn't have the mental stability to fight Floyd, and I think that was made evident to us over this whole Lamont Peterson thing. I guess prior to the steroid thing, right now, who's got a bigger smile on his face than Amir Khan over the steroid issue with Lamont Peterson? But with the way he handled that and couldn't take the defeat and all that stuff, Floyd Mayweather, fighting a guy like Floyd Mayweather, I mean, I think he destroys Amir Khan's mental psyche. So I don't know if Amir's ready for Floyd. I really don't. The only two, like I said, the only two fights I think for Floyd, and that's just my opinion, is Pacquiao and maybe Sergio. Some more emails. I got Biggerback says, thumbs down. No, hey, whoa. This guy's doing my piece now. He's doing my bit. I give him a little bit yesterday. I give him a little reference on thumbs up, thumbs down. Now he's giving me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Come on, Biggerbuck. Sounds like what is Biggerbuck? I want you to drop me an email and tell me where you come up with that name. All right, and it's not Biggerbuck anyway. It's Biggerback. Biggerback, like piggerback? I don't know, man. Biggerback. You got to tell me what that means. What the inside scoop is. Obviously, all these handles mean something, right? He says thumbs down, and this is another anti-Top Rank, right? This very well could be the same person. And I think, like I was saying one day, I think all these when I read a lot of these emails, I think that it's the same guy. But he says thumbs down to Top Rank for what they did, what they're about to do, and what they're thinking of doing, and for what they wanted to do but couldn't. I'm gonna take a stretch. This is gonna be a stretch, man. I just have this strange feeling that Biggerbuck, just a bigger back. I'm sorry, Biggerback. I know I keep saying Biggerbuck. It's because I'm blind. Biggerback. I don't think he likes Top Rank. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he likes him too much. He says, put thumbs up in advance to main events for announcing some quality fights. I do give him a thumbs up, and that's actually something that we're going to talk about later. But and I happen to like Kathy Duva. I like her. I'm old, so she's old. I'm old. Hey, you know what that means. But Biggerback says another thing. He says, when you're doing your heavyweight spotlight thing, make sure you talk about Deontay Wilder. He says he has way more potential than Mitchell, but he's protected for now. Okay, bigger back. Come on, man. What are you talking about? You know, Deontay Wilder is a big. He's a disappointment for me. I'm sorry. Talk about protection. Go punch him up, man. See who he's fought, or see what slugs they've brought in. And first of all, he's too small, man. The guy should be. I don't think he. I know he's tall, but he's not heavy. You know, he's going to get knocked into the third row. You know, listen. Maybe he's more talented than Seth Mitchell, rounded. You know, more rounded, more well-rounded for boxing. Maybe he is, because he's had a pedigree, amateur pedigree, and all of that stuff. But listen, I got to give Seth Mitchell credit for one thing. His style of fighting it's by in no way, shape, or form what we would call sweet science, but it's entertaining, and they have progressively stepped up his level of opposition. And when you're moving a fighter up, you can't expect more than that. And if you get that, you got to be happy about it. You know, the knock on the other Demetrius Andrade is he doesn't fight anybody tough. You know, he fights Godzilla compared to Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder hasn't fought anybody. I mean, here's a guy that went and basically helped the state of Alabama form a boxing commission just so he could fight in front of his hometown. You know, so listen, I know we're going to hear about Deontay Wilder as soon as they build him up to 25-0 or something like that. And, you know, we'll start to see him and everything else. They're quietly trying to get his record up. They're building value at him. They're doing it at a very inexpensive clip. You know, their way that they're doing it and where they're doing it. The investors behind him have some brains. They know what they're doing. But the bottom line is, if you don't step up your level of opposition with these fighters when you're moving them up, when they do get their chance, and we've seen it time and time again, they get knocked out, they lose him, then we never see him again. So you're not really helping them. You got to step up the level of opposition. I got to take a break. I'll be right back.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio. He would scoff at a stretch of that man, I would think.
You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. from upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell him Billy C sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C, the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C, damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. It's what I do.
Bill.
Wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting me? What?
Wrong.
What's
wrong,
the problem?
Billy,
what?
see?
I did not have...
We're gonna have to ask
wrong
you.
speech. What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPSradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C, a radio show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And speaking of Fight Now, special announcement, man. We have no show on Friday except on Fight Now. That's right. If you want to catch a show on Friday, you're going to have to watch Fight Now, because Fight Now is going to be the only place that you can catch Friday's show. That's correct. Friday we'll have a show, but it will only be on Fight Now TV. And if you've been waiting to get Fight Now on your television set, well, now's a good time, because you don't want to miss a day of the show, do you? Well, you're only going to be able to watch it on Fight Now, so check it out. Call your local television provider right now, whether it's satellite or cable, and tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. For all the info about the channel, visit their website, www.fightnow.com. And I want to welcome the Fight Now audience just joining us like they do Monday through Friday from 6 to 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Another announcement real quick. Don't forget about Gleason's, man. We're trying to get one of you guys that are going to be signing up for their fantasy boxing camp this year. We want to make you a star. That's right. We want to follow you around. We want to write some stories about you, cover your whole experience, and document it right here for the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. So, hey, do me a favor. Go sign up. You can call Gleason 718-797-2872 or swing by our website, www.BillyCBoxing.com, and click the Gleason's banner, which is on the right-hand side of the screen, and that'll take you to the website. Sign up. Tell them Billy C sent you. Tell them you want the discount. Then drop me an email, billy@talkinboxing, TALKINBOXING.com. Tell me you signed up. We'll put your name in the mix, and we'll announce the winner as we get closer. This is scheduled for August. So, hey, do it now, because we're trying to get somebody. We're going to do a pre-story, what's going through your mind, all that stuff. You're going to get a lot of coverage from us. So do that. Sign up for Gleason's Fantasy Boxing Camp, 718-797-2872. Still got some emails in the mailbag here. We got Alex Pierpaoli coming up with our Blast from the Past. I got some news. I'm going to talk about the three big shows that are coming our way from Main Events. My girl, Kathy Duva, who never returns my calls. No, I've never called her. Lamont Peterson, he's in some serious. He's got some issues, man. They're going to. I'll get to that in a little bit. But bigger back. Got some more. Now this is from yesterday's show. He says, "I just came back from a UFC in Fairfax, Virginia. I don't really follow mixed martial arts at all. I guess if they called me up and said, hey, we want you to do X, Y, Z, and we're going to pay you, the next day I'd have, my UFC hat on, But right now, honestly, I don't. I don't know, but I am going to agree with what he's got to say here. He says, I just came back from the UFC and found your man, Dan Rafael. Come on, man. He's not my man. I think he's the most pompous. He's the kind of guy that when in my neighborhood where I went to school, you're walking down the hall and you see somebody like Dan Rafael and you just punch him in the face for no reason. Oops, sorry. I didn't mean to do that, Dan. That's why he's such a ornery person right now. I'm sure he's gotten beaten up his whole life. Now he just sits on people. Hey, when Dan Rafael sits around the house, he sits around the house. But anyway, he was cage side, according to Biggerback. He says, I'm not joking. He was, and he confirmed it on Twitter. Anyway, he says UFC does, one thing UFC does is they match fighters with ugly records against other fighters with ugly records, and the ones with the good records with the ones with the good records. Once the fight starts, nobody cares about the records. The proof is, he says, the proof is Gabe Rosado at NBC Main Events, and with NBC Main Events and Salido, the obsession with the O has to go. I don't get that last line, but the obsession with the O does have to go. And I have no problem, when I talk about a fighter that says that, if I'm talking about a boxer, now forget UFC, if I'm talking about a boxer, and, I say, oh, yeah, he's got a record of 5-40 or something like that. I still respect that guy. There's no question. I want to know how Mac is still making comments in our chat room when he's not logged on. It's a data phenomena going on right now in our chat room. I don't see him logged on, but yet his stuff is popping up, so. But anyway, no, not that. I'm talking about his messages. All right, would you stop with your mind? Where's your mind? But anyway, I am not against a fighter that's got like a 5-40 record. And I'll tell you the truth, when they put those guys against each other, more times than not, you get the fight of the night. These guys are fighting for another opportunity. There was a kid, Danny, what was Danny's last name? I forget Danny's last name, but out of Massachusetts. And, why can't I think of his last name? But anyway, tough kid. Very rarely won, but tough kid. Always came to fight. Was a real good measuring stick for fighters for the longest time. And then eventually they have so many losses that they just can't get no, not Garcia. Again, well, I want to know how he's still coming. What do you got? What are you, invisible in there? What do you have, an invisible ID, Matt? Come on, man. What's going on? But anyway, I do agree that the O has to go. That's an important thing. Thanks for the emails, Bigger Back. My man Hawk says, I agree 100% that pay-per-view and pay TV is what has turned boxing into a small niche sport. First of all, boxing has always been a niche sport. Sports are a niche, right? So, you have the overall landscape of life, and then it's broken down into niches. You like gardening, you got a gardening niche. Sports is a niche within life. But boxing is a niche within a niche, right? It's a sport that's within a sport, which it's a sport that's within sports, I should say. Geez, given qualities, you can go, hey, you know what? Stay away from the race issue, and you better stay away from the niches within the sports and the niches thing too. But he says most kids these days don't grow up watching boxing and don't get to watch big fights because they can't pay to watch them. Yeah, but that's my whole point about the opportunity our sport has with webcasts. The webcast could save boxing in every sport, but the promoter, the little promoter, we all know, and I know whether you like them or not, whether you like Golden Boy, whether you like Bob Arum and Top Rank or Don King, or you don't like these guys, that's neither here nor there. But the truth of the matter is they're at the upper echelon. They can dictate. They can charge us. They can put us over the counter and us. The bottom line is this. The small promoter should be the one that has the vision and thinks outside the box and offer these webcasts. Go there and, like I keep telling people, they got to go and knock on doors and sell advertising spots to pay for the cost for these webcasts and give them to the fans for free. And in the long run, they'll be able to make their money. A pay-per-view model is not the answer, in my opinion. It's not the answer. And what happens is the greed factor from the distribution companies for the pay-per-views, number one, and number two, the promoters themselves and the people that are involved. The greed factor here is that they say to themselves, well, why should I go out and spend the money for the resources to go and try and build sponsorships and blah, 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 or lay out the money for production costs when I don't have to do anything, and I'd rather get a check for a small amount of money than investing my own money and hope that I get a profit back. And that mentality is not thinking outside the box, and it's also thinking one at a time instead of looking at the big picture. At least in my thought process, I think that the webcasting and a handful of promoters that could get in on it now, and if they had the resources to foot the bill while they build up a following and then of course lasso the sponsorships, they're going to be in control. And those promoters, if they weren't so stupid and greedy and naive, they would be making out well down the road, because there are so many people that would watch these events if they didn't have to pay. And the answer isn't $4, $2, $9, $15. It's not the money. And, you know, with the internet, it's not the money. It's not that the people don't want to pay. You know, come on, man. You know, if there's something that you want, you know, people go and buy it. They'll spend outrageous money. How many times have you seen somebody go and buy something and you're like, oh yeah, nice, you know, and you walk out of it and you go, what the hell? Would they spend $500 on a pair of pants? You know, or why don't they spend $1,000 for that set of earrings? I wouldn't even wear them. You know, I don't wear earrings, but I'm just saying. You know, there's obviously. The value is in each of us. We have our own values. You know, I'm a Joe Namath fan. If you show me a piece of memorabilia from Joe Namath, I'm going to love it. You know, maybe somebody else doesn't even know who he is. They could give two craps about it, you know. So, I mean, it's all relative. You know, when you put a value on something, there's only a value if somebody's willing to pay for it. Otherwise, you could say something's worth $1 million, and if nobody's willing to give you $50 for it, guess what? It ain't worth $1 million. So it's the same thing with boxing and watching boxing on television. All these small events, these club shows, these events when Vinny Goombats fights, Johnny Come Lately for a 6-round fight in some East Bum, you know what, town, and you know you're in a barn and you're watching this, and it's, you know, very low key and everything else. You know, you say to yourself, well, who the hell wants to watch that? Well, I'll tell you what, if it was available and it was for free, a lot of people would watch it. And you know what the advantage is to it? Those Johnny Come Latelys and Vinny Goombats fighters become known. And not only that, but they develop a following outside of their one-horse town that they live in. You know, and then when and if they get to a point where they're ready to get on Fight Now or ESPN or HBO or Showtime or something like that, you know, they have something they bring to the table. They say, oh, you know, by the way, we have a fan base of X amount of people because we've been available on webcast. But they're shooting themselves in the foot by charging. Nobody buys those webcasts. Nobody buys them. Nobody buys them. You know, I mean, whatever. It just doesn't happen. But it is a shame, and I think that if we had more boxing available, it would definitely be better for everyone involved. That's for sure. But anyway, I'm sitting here not even realizing what time it is, and I had to look at the chat room. But my man Hawk says, and what I meant by, and this is okay, he's covering his ass here because he made a comment about Razor Ruddock yesterday. He says, what I meant by Razor Ruddock fighting Tyson with one hand was not that his hand was hurt. It's just that Razor Ruddock wasn't a very good boxer. All night long, he only threw the left hand at Tyson. He never tried to use his right at all. Ruddock was fighting with one hand and was very predictable against Mike. So he did act like a one-handed fighter, even though his hand wasn't injured. Also, Tommy Morrison and Lennox Lewis stopped Ruddock. First of all, there's nothing bad about Lennox Lewis knocking you out. I mean, when he came to fight, he was, you know, had some power. Our very own Dax Khan thinks he's one of the best ever, but we still debate that every time we talk. As a matter of fact, we talked yesterday on the phone and debated that. But Tommy Morrison in his day had some pop. I mean, so, and you know, I'm not going to knock Razor Ruddock for losing to those two guys. And remember, when he fought Mike Tyson was still that guy that everyone was, you know, scared to death of, you know, before they got into the ring with him. You know, they were just scared of him. You know, so, you know what? I like Razor Ruddock. And I don't want him fighting now at 48. But I definitely liked him as a fighter, and I thought he was a big guy. I thought he was a test. The one fight they had with Tyson was a close fight. I remember one of the two were pretty close, when I recall. He says, I wonder, he closes, he says, Hawk says, I wonder if Margarito's eye will hold up for 12 rounds. I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know if Abel Perry's very excited about fighting him. Hawk, I got one more. Actually, I got two more emails, and then we're going to get to Alex Pierpaoli. He says, Hawk says, Floyd did get many pay-per-view buys, and that's why Floyd will continue to cherry-pick. You know, listen, I'm not a Floyd fan. You guys know I can't stand the guy, and I wish nothing but the worst on him. But the truth of the matter is you can't say that he cherry-picked his last two opponents. I'm sorry, you can't. Cotto was a good opponent for him. You know, anybody that's really writing off Miguel Cotto as a quality opponent for Floyd Mayweather is wrong. I mean, I give Floyd credit for fighting Miguel Cotto. I'm sorry, I do. And I give Manny credit for fighting Bradley. A lot of people are picking Bradley in an upset. So, anyway, I think Floyd's cherry-picking days are over. He's only got one or two more fights left. So, not that he can't go on, but I think that there's only one or two fights out there for him. Hawk goes on to say, so many boxing fans were pissing and moaning about Floyd not fighting the best, ducking and cherry-picking. These same dummies went out and bought his cherry-picked BS fight. So I guess the fans should quit complaining with their mouth and supporting cherry-picking with their wallet. I don't. I boycotted the Cotto fight. Okay, Hawk, you think it was a cherry-picked fight. I thought it was a good test. You know, I enjoyed the fight. It turned out to be an action-packed fight. And I thought Cotto held his own. The anti-Mayweather people, and no one's more anti-Mayweather than me, say, oh, well, Floyd, that's how he's not. He's starting to slip. He should have taken care of Cotto quicker. I don't feel that way. I thought we saw an exciting fight. I thought that Cotto represented himself well, and I thought Mayweather did a good job beating him. And it wasn't close in my opinion. So, last email. This comes from the other Alex. Speaking of Alex Pierpaoli, he's going to be with us in a second here. But Alex T says Gennady Golovkin is a fighter who I think is highly underrated right now in our sport. He's undefeated titleist at 160 pounds, and I wouldn't bet against him if you put him in with Lee, Sturm, or Martinez. Check out this YouTube clip where he knocks out Lucien Bute in the amateurs, which I did, and I could send you the link if you're interested, or just search it on YouTube. He says we'll probably never see him in the States, but the fans should know who he is. I agree with him. Gennady Golovkin is a good fighter. As a matter of fact, I was confused with him. I sent him an email. Yeah, he did fight in the U.S. once, but I confused him with Dmitry Pryor. But Gennady Golovkin is a real deal. I like him at middleweight. I don't think you're going to see Chavez fight him because Chavez is going to probably fight Andy Lee, then move up and avoid Martinez. That's what I think he's going to do. But anyway, joining us right now, Alex Pierpaoli. You've been on hold, patiently waiting. Sorry about that. And I noticed you in the room, and I went, oh, my God, look at the time. But what's going on, man?
How you doing, Billy C?
Well, not too bad, not too bad. What's your thoughts on this last email? Oh, you weren't listening?
I was, but I'm not sure if I'm responding to the right one or not.
Gennady Golovkin. Gennady Golovkin.
The cherry-picking opponents?
No, the Gennady Golovkin. Well, I don't think
Gennady Golovkin, I don't know.
Now, what about you? You don't think that Mayweather cherry-picked Cotto, do you?
A little bit.
But it didn't turn out to be.
I think he impressed me. I think Cotto did better than I thought he was going to. I thought that I'd be shocked if he won 3 rounds, and I thought you could argue he won 4. I thought that somebody who wrote in yesterday, I forget if it was Hawker Mustang or Brick-a-Brack, one of those guys there.
It's not Brick-a-Brack.
Said that it looked, not that Floyd carried him, but that I did think that he thought that Floyd could have knocked him out. I totally agree with that. I thought in the 10th, 11th, 12th round, fight was there for Floyd to win and win impressively, but he doesn't risk. But I think he still looked pretty good. I thought that, like I said, I think Cotto did better than I expected. But Jim Lampley said people are talking about it as fight of the year. I think that's crazy. I think even you had mentioned it's a fantastic fight. I wouldn't call it a fantastic fight. I thought it was a good fight, and for a Mayweather fight, it was a little more competitive than we're used to seeing him. But I don't think it was. I mean, it's definitely the most he's been tested in a while. But I think the first Castillo fight, you could argue he lost. I don't think you could argue Cotto beat him. And the idea people want to see it as a rematch, I don't.
First of all, I do think it was a good fight. It's not Bickerback, all right? It's Bigger Buck. It's Bigger Back. It's I don't know. It's a tongue twister is what it is. But, I thought it was a fantastic fight, and I think you are right that it was fantastic.
A fantastic fight?
I think it was fantastic because I was so used to seeing what I call a boring fight against him. Yeah. But I do think it was an entertaining fight, and I do think it was more entertaining than most fights we see. I mean, occasionally we'll see a slugfest, and we're all oohing and on over it. But I did think it was an entertaining fight, and I thought that I think that Floyd. I'm not going to deny that he's cherry-picked opponents in the past, although I don't think that Cotto was cherry-picked because when you look at the large scope of things, and we've already talked about this, but we'll talk about it again. When you look at the division, either division, the one he was in, the one up above him, the one below him, whichever one you want to put him in, who else is there? There's two names. There's only two names besides Cotto, and Murph just said it right. He said, hey, listen, Pacquiao took the second best opponent out there, and Floyd took the second best opponent out there.
Right.
Because
I think that's a good way of putting it.
It is a good way of putting it because the first best opponent for both of them is each other. So when you take them out of the mix, who else is left? And
let's face it, I mean, Canelo is way too green.
Canelo showed me some stuff that he's not gonna when he gets in. Let's put it this way. A young Shane Mosley destroys Canelo Alvarez, all right? Destroys Canelo Alvarez. So I mean, how do you put him in the same breath as a Floyd Mayweather or a Manny Pacquiao? If anybody, I mean, Mac was saying from the Philippines, he was saying, well, what about Amir Khan? Well, you know what? Maybe Amir Khan needs to fight somebody like Canelo Alvarez first. I know he's 2 weight classes above him at this point. But, maybe those two guys fight and then the winner emerges. Or maybe the winner of Berto Ortiz emerges to fight Amir Khan or something like that. I mean, you can't jump that much. You can't go from beating let's just say a Lamont Peterson type fighter, even though he lost to him technically. But let's say you beat a Lamont Peterson fighter. You don't go from that level to Manny Pacquiao or Floyd Mayweather. I'm sorry, you just don't.
Yeah, I think, but I think realistically, the only person, as you suggested, is that the only person that's out there that is the same type Class A fighter in terms of reflexes and skill and potential is Amir Khan. We're talking Mayweather, Pacquiao, Khan. Those are the only guys who probably could compete with each other. I think Martinez should be in there too. Because I think the tradition is that if you're the welterweight champ and then you go on and acquire the junior middleweight belt, it makes sense to move up and be the middleweight, especially if you're somebody who thinks you're the best fighter that ever lived. Right. So to me, Martinez is a no-brainer. And like you said, if you think that Floyd could beat him easy, I don't think he's an easy guy to beat. Then why doesn't he fight him? I think those are the only fights realistically we have seeing. And quite frankly, I think Amir Khan is too small. Maybe he can carry welterweight, but we've never even seen him fight once at 147. Floyd's fighting now possibly at 154. When he comes out of the joint, he's going to be a little heavier, I bet. A lot of starchy food. They got the potatoes and pastas, and it's going to be hard to stay fit in there. I'm sure he could do some calisthenics and stuff, but it's not like he can train now. So
Come on.
It's not like he's going to need a tune-up because he fights so infrequently anyway. But he's going to have to watch himself while he's in there. And depending on how long of a sentence he does. If he does the full 80-something days, then his body could slip a little bit. But we're still talking about an amazing athlete.
The joint. Come on, he's going to it. And I know. You know what you know what I like about you, Alex.
He's gonna suck.
No,
he's going to have no freedom. And somebody like him, come on. He likes his freedom, like anybody does. But he's the kind of guy who, he can wander around his mansion, I'm sure. And he's going to be in a room.
Listen.
And probably he'll be in a large dormitory place with a lot of other guys.
And they're all going to be circling around him. They're going to be like his posse. They're all going to be acting like he's. Listen,
right? But sometimes that could also mean they want to start with him.
They're not going. You know? If he was going to the joint, if he was going to a prison, I would agree with everything you just said. But he's not. He's going to.
Even Mike Tyson was in a youth facility, and there's still the potential for very violent things to happen there. I mean,
yeah, but
realistically, it's not going to be fun. But yes, I agree with you. Chances are he will have a relatively cushy time, but he's not going to be like in a Bernie Madoff type prison. It's definitely going to be a rougher place than that.
He's going to be in a county jail. He is going to get special treatment. You talk about jail food. You think that he's going to be eating the same slop as everybody else? Do you really think so? I don't.
I don't. Have a dietitian in there, a nutritionist.
No. But he's going to get special food. I'm telling you. Listen, man. You check out ask your brother. Come on, man.
Well, the last time that didn't turn out that well. You didn't like what we.
Well, ask your brother if he's on my side. I'm gonna praise him for it. If he's on your side,
we'll get the menu for where he's going.
That's right. And if your brother picks your side again, he's dead to me. That's all it is. I mean, that's the way it is. Listen, I want to get back to Martinez. Martinez. The issue with Martinez, I know you think that he's so good, all right, and
I don't think he's so good like he's all-time great, but I think he's a very worthy middleweight champion. I think he's a pound-for-pound guy, top 5, top 3.
That's pretty good,
arguably.
That's pretty good then.
And I think that I don't think he's struggled in his last couple of fights. I think he's the kind of guy who he likes the entertainment value, so he will fight and keep his hands down. That's his style. He'll fight with a bloody nose. To me, I like that because he knows we like seeing a guy risk. He's the anti-Floyd in that sense.
Man, he definitely struggled. Now, whether he couldn't get up for those 2 fights and he had to wait till he got the bloody nose, or he had to wait till.
I don't think he struggled. Come on. He was never in trouble of losing those fights.
The second fight, he most certainly was. He was losing. He was losing on the scorecards in the last fight that he had. And
I think I don't remember it that way. I think maybe it was close, but I don't remember him ever trailing.
All right, but listen, he won the fights and he won them in dramatic fashion. But you can't compare those 2 opponents with an elite fighter. Like Floyd, and
you're right. I agree with you. But again, he beat. Those are the top contenders of what's available, and
you're right. Alex. Hold that thought. We got to take a break, but hold that thought because there's some other issues about Sergio Martinez that are constantly brought up. And I want to hear your side of it because since you're the president of the Martinez fan club, I want to hear.
Mamma mia!
Yeah, Mamma mia! But no. But that's the other thing. That's one of the topics of what I'm going to ask you. All coming up in about 2 minutes.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs, and yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano's ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
You beat Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh? What?
We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C show. He's Billy C, and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C. first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C. a radio show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And if you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, then you need to call your local television provider right now and tell them that you want it. It's that simple. Pick up the phone, call your TV provider, whether it's on satellite or cable. Tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. For all the information about the channel, visit their website, www.fightnow.com. Speaking of now, I got Alex Pierpaoli on the phone. We're going to be doing a blast from the past here in a second, but we are engulfed in a conversation. Well, maybe an argument. I don't know, man. I don't know what we're doing, but we're talking about...
It's always an argument.
With you. With you, you know, the brother I never wanted, you know, but Martinez, Alex is the new president of the Sergio Martinez fan club. And, it's the big knock on him about Mayweather, when all the Mayweather fans start talking to me about Sergio Martinez, they all say the same thing. And it's hard for me to agree with. What they say is, well, Sergio's too big. Now, let me backtrack for a second. I agree with you, Alex. I think that the only real opponents for Mayweather right now are Manny Pacquiao and Sergio Martinez. Sergio Martinez and Manny Pacquiao both will probably lose to Floyd, but I think that realistically they're the only two out there that we could even say have a shot at beating Floyd. Other than that, there really is no one, right? So when the Mayweather fans... they all think they discredit Pacquiao. They start with the Bob Arum. They start with the steroid. They start with all of that stuff to discredit Pacquiao. And then when it gets to Sergio, they all seem to say the same thing. They all say, well, Sergio should be moving up in weight. He's too big. He's 168 pounds and everything else, which I think is false. I think that Sergio is actually a small middleweight. I don't think he's typical of a middleweight that weighs in the day before at 160 pounds, typically – blows up to 170 pounds, 170 plus. We all know that Chavez got to be over 180 in 24 hours. But Sergio, at the most, he'll get up to 167, 165, something like that, the night of the fight. And
I'm not sure we even know that for sure. I don't remember seeing numbers like that on him.
Somebody reported that he did weigh as high as 168 for the night of a fight. But so what? But the point remains, and what they'll say is, well, Floyd weighed in for the Cotto fight at 154 or 151 to make that fight, and then fight night he was back down to 147. But that's his prerogative. We all know, especially with the Blast, that a lot of fighters throughout the history of the sport went in as the smaller guy and came out as the victor. The size sometimes is a benefit for the smaller guy. So I think that should be a non-issue. What do you think?
Right. I think that's exactly right. And I think the other thing is that we've already heard that Sergio Martinez would come down. I think they've even said they'd come down to as low as 156.
I thought he said 151 was the lowest, but he wanted to fight at 154.
Well, I mean, it has to make sense that it's for the middleweight title. So I don't think he should be as low as 154. I think if it's Martinez's title and the middleweight title's up for grabs, which I think that's the whole point, I think he should at least, I think 157. Mayweather could weigh as much as 157. And let's face it, Mayweather probably will come in 152 or so. And you're right, maybe he will be smaller. I don't know. I think, but like the guy we're going to talk about in the Blast, it's not unheard of to have that much of a disparity. We haven't seen it in a while. I mean, the Pacquiao Margarito disparity, weight disparity, was a little more significant. And I think that we're talking about a similar disparity that it would be between, Martinez and Floyd. I think that, like you said, a good example would be Sugar Ray Leonard against Marvin Hagler. Remember, he lost something like 12 pounds during that fight. So, somebody like Floyd Mayweather, that might end up happening, and it would show that he really is a blown-up welterweight. In the effort of the actual event itself, he might shrink down. But again, that's a long way from happening because they haven't even signed it.
The bottom line, in my opinion, the reason why Floyd won't fight Sergio Martinez, not because he's afraid, not because Sergio's too big, not because Sergio's not willing to go and conform to Floyd's demands, none of that. So all those reasons, the biggest reason why that Floyd will not fight him is because Sergio's not a big enough draw. That's the bottom line. He's not. We all know him. We all recognize his talent, whichever degree you put him, whether you put him in a pound for pound, whether you do, whether you don't, where you put him there. It doesn't matter. We all know how he is. We all know the story. We all know that he comes to fight all the time. We all know it. We like the guy. He's a likable guy. There's no question about it. However, he's not a draw. He's not a draw. And that is what's hurting him. Floyd is looking for money. He's looking for draws. That's why he chose Cotto. It worked out that it was an entertaining fight. But he's only going to be looking for fighters that have that draw, that appeal. And I just don't think that Martinez does.
Right. Well, I think that, unfortunately, I think that it doesn't sell itself as a super fight automatically. Like, there's the automatic audience that Cotto brings. There's the Puerto Rican audience. They're very dedicated boxing fans. It's a tried and true pay-per-view audience. They come out for the guy. So, yeah, that's what Floyd likes, to set up fights like that. You're right. But the thing is that I don't quite buy that completely, Billy C. We're talking about the middleweight title here. I think the thing about it is that, yes, he's not big enough, but he's not big enough. The ratio of risk versus reward is too wide. If Martinez was a little more of a pushover, if this was somebody who maybe Kelly Pavlik-ish, a middleweight champion who didn't look so versatile as Martinez does, because Martinez has those abilities that would give Floyd problems, speed and unorthodoxy, and he's a southpaw. He has that intuitive unorthodoxy that, just like with Manny Pacquiao, the offense is going to be coming at weird angles, and that's a similar thing. The power is not there for Martinez, but the speed and the weird angles is there for Martinez. So the risk is too much for Mayweather you're right, for the amount of bank that he could make. We're talking, this guy's money. So you're right, he does want a mega event, but I don't know. I mean, with the right amount of selling it, I can't help but think that's the natural thing. I mean, in a couple of weeks we're going to Canastota. Leonard, Hearns, Hagler, they're all going to be there. 2 of the 3 were welterweight kings who moved up to try to become middleweight kings. And Hearns went all the way up to cruiserweight. That's the nature of the sport. I don't know. To me, if it was within reach, I was somebody talking about myself the way Mayweather does, it would be something I would want to try at, to take the middleweight crown. We're talking about 6 pounds away? Come on.
Listen, I just think the mindset is different. Floyd thinks that his place in history is going to be secure with his O, and that's what he's banking on. That's his model. You're right. He's not going to take an unnecessary risk for a low reward. And I know that Floyd has a lot of fans, and David Allen is his biggest fan, but I mean he's got a lot of fans, all right. But Floyd loves to walk into an arena as the guy everyone hates. He loves to hear the louder cheers for his opponents because he likes to try to sway those cheers towards him towards the end. He'll never get that with Martinez. I think that he gets into a ring with Sergio Martinez, and there's going to be more fan support for Floyd. I think all of the tangibles make Martinez not viable. And you make one point that I find funny, not by you, but by the situation. We all refer to Sergio Martinez as the middleweight champion because, quite honestly, he never lost his belt in the ring. But the official title of his is just the regular diamond-studded super middleweight champion, because the real champion that he's trying to get a shot at of the title that he was stripped for no apparent reason happens to be Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., at least as defined by the worst sanctioning body in boxing, the WBC.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
but who cares? I mean, we know Sergio's the man who beat the man who beat the man. So
right.
We should go by that.
All right, well, listen, we're going to keep talking about this forever and ever, but we got a blast from the past to do, which is being sponsored by the International Boxing Organization, where their computerized ranking system is second to none. Check it out, www.iboboxing.com. This week's blast from the past. Now, I've been saying this guy's name wrong forever, I'm sure, but I call him Georges Carpentier. How do you pronounce it?
That's not it.
It's not?
Sorry. It's Georges Carpentier.
How do you know? All right, what are you, an English major or something? Or what are you throwing
They actually did put a phonetic spelling in one of the articles I read. Now, of course, I'm not finding it. I think it was one of his obituaries. They were saying how the American audience came to love him, that they loved pronouncing his name properly. Yeah, here it is. The Orchid Man. That was his nickname was the Orchid Man, or Gorgeous George. American fans went to the trouble of pronouncing his name correctly, Carpentier.
Now, the one thing that I want to start off before you get into this guy is, everybody is constantly talking about Manny Pacquiao and the fact that he went from flyweight up to welterweight and blah, blah, blah. This is a guy that started his career at flyweight, and he ended up as a heavyweight. Why doesn't anybody accuse him of going on steroids?
That's a good point. And I didn't read anything about, in his, I actually read a lot of his autobiography for the essay I did in the First Black Boxing Champions book, and he does talk a lot about fitness in there, but I didn't read anything this week. In his early days about, he was very young when he started, so he certainly was growing. But yeah, I mean, we're talking about 40 pounds he gained. He was never enormous as a light heavyweight and a heavyweight, but still, we're talking going from like 116, 118, all the way up to 170.
The thing about him, too, is he started his career in 1908. And when I think Carpentier, I think of a fighter that, for some reason, and when he first pops into my mind, I forget how early his career reigned, because for some reason I'm thinking of him off the top of my head, usually around the Joe Louis era, and he was way before Joe Louis.
Yeah, more Jack Johnson.
No, yeah, Jack Johnson, and even Dempsey, though, because he fought Dempsey.
Right. He was just we'll get into it here. Born January 12th, 1894 in Lens, I don't know, France. He was 5'11" and a half, and maybe that's why he had the genetics to get as big, to go from the smaller weight classes up a ways, because he was almost 6 feet tall. So he went from bantamweight. I'm not sure flyweight was even around. But it said he, as an amateur, he definitely fought as a flyweight. But one of the things I seemed to find was that as a pro, it was mostly bantam. But he turned pro at 14 years old in 1908. in one of his obituaries, it said that that could be disputable. So I don't know if maybe subsequent researchers have found that his birth date might not have been 1894. But anyway, by the December of 1911, when he was almost 18, they were talking about him as a fighter who had, made an extraordinary rise up through 4 weight classes already, up to middleweight. They thought of him as the French White Hope. Jack Johnson was the champion at this point. And he had KO'd Jim Sullivan to become the middleweight champ of England. And he had been a pupil of Willie Lewis, and Willie Lewis and Joe Jeanette were managed by Dan McKettrick, and that's one of the reasons why there was such great information in the piece that, in his autobiography, because he did get to know Joe Jeanette and Dan McKettrick and Willie Lewis very well in his early going.
Now, this guy was a war hero in World War I, and he came back, and people just loved him, not only in France, but they loved him all over the world. Why was that?
He was very handsome, and he was bright, and he had an exciting style. He was pretty good. He was a clever boxer, but he also had some pretty good pop. He could knock a guy out and knock out these bigger guys, so people always liked the punchers, he was very bright. He did a lot of writing, and he wrote about the war and his experiences in the war, and they appeared like as essays, periodic essays in the newspapers.
Yeah, well, you mentioned his style, and it was one of my questions. I was going to ask you, describe his style for us. Describe what kind of style he did bring to the ring, because we all know about the. Actually, Murphy just put it in. I'm laughing. I glance over there and I see a comment from David Allen. He's always saying such nice things to me. But Dave Murphy just said about the biggest gate in history. Against Jack Dempsey, and he was a huge draw. There were women that were cheering for him, because at that time Jack Dempsey was like the evil guy. Everybody loved to hate him, and we all think of Jack Dempsey now as we all loved him, but there was a time when they absolutely hated him, and a lot of people went to see Carpentier win that fight.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, in the recent the HBO series there, Boardwalk Empire, it takes place in the backdrop of some of the events of the show. The Dempsey-Carpentier fight you could hear it on the radio, and you're absolutely right. Dempsey was looked at as kind of as a slacker. Now, again, in a way, this was not even the prime Carpentier, because he was better before he went into the Army. When he came back from the Army, that's when he fought Dempsey. Personally, I think his prime was definitely before that. But when he fought Dempsey, they looked at Carpentier as the, really honorable guy. He had been a war hero. He had been decorated. He was involved in several campaigns in France, against the Germans, and whereas Dempsey did not go to the war, did not go to the front at all, and was looked at as more of a party guy, a slacker. But Dempsey leveled him.
Right. Now, what was Carpentier's?
It's a baby ass.
Carpentier. What was his? What was George's style? How did he fight?
It seemed like he was sort of a clever boxer from what I'm reading. There is some video of him on YouTube, and I think one of the things that's kind of interesting is that, he seemed to be able to adapt pretty well. In one of the descriptions I heard, the way they described him as fighting with his defense as similar to Ad Walgast, the way he held his arms. But I thought this was kind of interesting. This is a quick blow-by-blow description of the first fight with Bombardier Wells, who was a English heavyweight champion, and this was when Carpentier won that the English heavyweight champion. He was, only about 170 or so going into the ring. Here's round one. Carpentier rushed, but Wells met him with a hard left to the face. The Englishman followed quickly with a short half-arm right to the head, sending the Frenchman down for the count of 9. Carpentier came up bleeding profusely. So he was somebody who could get hurt, Round 2, Wells soon had the Frenchman to the ropes again, seemingly landing where he pleased. A left hook floored Carpentier. The Frenchman was groggy throughout the remainder of the round, but as Wells failed to push his advantage, the Frenchman was able to stall. Round 3, Carpentier closed with his adversary at the sound of the gong and showed to advantage in the infighting. Wells was soon in distress from a shower of blows to the stomach, and the Frenchman sent him reeling with a hard swing to the jaw. Round 4, Carpentier came up the fresher of the two. Having discovered the Englishman's weak spot, he continued boring in. He missed a hard right, as the result of which both the fighters slipped to the floor. They were up immediately, and Carpentier landed a left to the body, following this with a terrific right to the solar plexus, which floored Wells for the count.
Exciting.
So
Yeah, no, he fought some good fighters. There's no question that he fought some good fighters, and it seemed like the bigger guys gave him trouble. I mean, like you mentioned, Joe Giannetti lost to. He beat Gumbo Smith, who was a highly regarded heavyweight at the time. Battling Levinsky was a big win for him at light heavyweight. He lost, of course, to Jack Dempsey. He blew out Ted Kid Lewis. And one of my favorite fighters actually beat him senseless, knocked him out, but that was towards the end of his career, and that's Battling-Siki. Knocked him out in 6 rounds in 1922. But what amazes me about this guy is, even though you could argue and say that his career was over prior to the Jack Dempsey fight, I mean, let's be real, he had fought for at least 12 years up to that point. After the Battling-Siki knockout loss, he fought some top guys, and now he didn't come out with a W against Tommy Loughran and Gene Tunney and Tommy Gibbons, but they were all in their prime at the time. So
he was definitely a rugged guy.
Yeah,
no question about it.
He wasn't afraid. Now, he closed out his career in 1926 with back-to-back knockout wins against marginal opposition, and then hung him up. He stayed in the business of boxing forever, really. I mean, he was a referee and stuff, but one of the funny things about this guy was he refereed a world heavyweight title fight long before he ever even fought as a heavyweight. Tell us about that.
Something I did see that, and damn, I can't.
Well, he actually was the referee for the Jack Johnson Frank Moran, right? And that took place in June of 1914. It was for the world heavyweight title, and he was the referee for that fight, and that was long before he fought Jack Dempsey, which came 7 years later.
Yeah, that was actually before he even went to the war. And actually, he did kill a German. It was very well publicized. He drove a general around, I guess. He worked in the aviators corps, and I guess he would drive a general back and forth to the front, and then later he was in an artillery unit. But I guess when he was driving the general, I guess at one point they were surprised by a group of Germans, and one of the guys jumped onto the side runner of the car, and he slammed it into reverse. This was all described in the papers. This is why the guy became popular, I'm sure. This is part of it. He slammed it into reverse and starts backing up, and the German pulls out his gun and goes to shoot him, and as Carpentier is driving with one hand, he punched him in the solar plexus, and it got the guy so winded it knocked him off the runner. He slammed the brakes, pulled out his gun, and killed him.
See, what people don't know is that German officer was actually Sergeant Schultz from Hogan's Heroes, and he was choking on a piece of strudel when that happened, and that's why he lost his breath. It wasn't the shot to the solar plexus. You remember
strudel?
You remember Sergeant Schultz, right? Do you remember Hogan? Are you old enough to know Hogan?
I've seen maybe one or two of those, but I wasn't really big on Hogan's Heroes.
You guys,
before my time.
You guys are too young. Hogan's Heroes was a class. As a matter of fact, if you have MeTV, it's a new channel. You get to see all that stuff in Schultz. I see nothing. Anyway. But anyway.
But that's World War II, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
World War I?
No, it was World War II. Of course, you had to catch that. I was trying to be a little funny, but yes, I wasn't proper. Alex is right again. It was actually World War II. But
we at least got to get our eras right in the blast, you know.
No, you're right. I was just trying to be funny. But anyway. George Carpentier, however you say his French name, he was the Orchid Man, lived a very long life. He actually died at 81 years old. Nothing exciting for Alex to report on, just a regular.
I know. He lived to a ripe old age. It wasn't a tragic, sudden death.
Yep, nothing out of the ordinary, you know. But he was very, very successful. He was a boxing referee, like we said. He got into acting. He actually owned a bar at one point. He was a jack of all trades, very popular till the end. This was a guy that had a career record of 88 wins, 57 come by knockout, 14 losses. He was stopped 9 times out of those 14 losses. Had 6 draws, only fought one, which is kind of interesting because around that era it was popular, but he only fought one newspaper decision, and it happened to have been a loss. He fought 860 rounds as a pro with a 52% knockout ratio. Many say he started his career as a flyweight or a bantamweight, went all the way up to heavyweight. He's a former European welterweight, middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight champion, and he was also the former world heavyweight title challenger and a former world light heavyweight champion. His last...
also a good writer, and his autobiography is pretty good, and he was willing to cross the color line, but the fight never did materialize. At the time, Jack Johnson was really plagued by the U.S. government, and he didn't really make a lot of defenses. And then the war came, and Carpentier signed up.
The one thing I will give him credit for is at the end of his career, obviously at the end, his best days were long behind him. And following his knockout loss to Battle Nsiki in 1922, he went back to France and fought for the French heavyweight title and won via an 8th-round knockout over Marcel Niles in 1923. That would be the last major title he would hold. And he ended up going out on a winning streak, 2 wins in a row, but that was it. Hall of Fame inductee in 1991, and truly a blast from the past.
Good old George.
Good old George. Alex, hey, it was great getting aggravated with you, and I look forward to the next time when, you get my blood pressure going and all that stuff. But a great job, as usual, with the blast from the past.
Thanks a lot, Bill.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
That's Alex Pierpaoli, and doing what he does best, which is always doing a good blast from the past. Hey, I got to take a break. When I come back, we're scheduled to have the infamous Joe Santaliquido.
The 2012 Summer Olympic Games unfold in 5 months in London. The honor and the history of playing host goes back a long way. How long? That's next on Sports Shorts with me, the Sports Princess.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Stouffer's, helping bring your family together with wholesome dinner options, even on the busiest of nights. Find dinner table ideas to bring your family together at letsfixdinner.com. To get kids involved in dinnertime conversation, ask specific questions, not broad ones. Instead of what happened today at school, try what was the best thing that happened today. The more specific you are, the more they'll have to say. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Legend has it that the Olympics go back to Hercules, but let's leave Greek mythology out of it. The modern games opened in 1896. Since Athens couldn't afford to put them on, a businessman ponied up the coin. Pole vaulting, weightlifting, shot put, and swimming, few of the handful of events. Since those days, some of the original sports remain. Others come and go, depending on the whims of the International Olympic Committee. Australia, France, Germany, and China have hosted summer games, and this will be the 3rd time for London. As for the winter games, the U.S. has hosted them 4 times since they started in 1924 in France, featuring sports like alpine cross-country skiing, figure skating, and such. Between the summer and the winter games, there are hundreds of sports and thousands of athletes. You never know what city is going to get a crack at hosting next. I'm the Sports Princess with Sports Shorts.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
Mike Tyson looked like he put on some pounds. He was fat. He went into McDonald's and he just said to them, hey, give me 6 of everything on the menu. He put on 2 watches and covered 2 time zones. I'm talking fat here. Got on a scale the other day and it said, come on, one of you guys got to get off. Last thing I heard is that he jumped into the ocean and he left a ring around the continent. He's fat.
Boxing
with Billy C.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Talking Boxing with Billy C.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the #1 show in the country, Talking Boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in, because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
St. Jimmy's coming down across the alleyway, up on the boulevard like a zip gun on parade. Lights on the silhouette, he's in some buttonette, coming at you on the count of 1.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C. radio show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And if you're looking to get the show on your television set, well, you need to call your TV provider, whether it's a satellite dish or cable, and tell them you want the Fight Now channel. That's right. Tell them you want it right now. It's that simple. Don't forget, every night is Fight Night on Fight Now. 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Fight Now shows a new fight, so you got to check out the website for the latest details on who's going to be fighting tonight. And speaking of Fight Now, Friday we have a special thing going on. We will not be doing a show here. The only place that you're going to be able to get Talking Boxing with Billy C. Show will be on Fight Now. So if you've been waiting and you just, whenever we miss a show or whenever we take a day off or something like that, I get these emails from you guys that are like, oh, man, what happened to the show? I listened to the show on my way to work. I listened to it while I'm working out. You ruined my day. You ruined my weekend. What happened? Come on, man. Get the premium podcast. Listen to another show. What can I tell you? But the other thing is this. If you're waiting to get it and you've been waiting to watch it on TV, DVR it. Hey, listen, Dax Khan brags about being the guy that's got Fight Now. He's got Fight Now on his television set. But, he only watches the shows that he's on. Don't let him fool you. He acts like he cares about all the other. He's in a chat room right now like he really cares. He's just wondering if he's coming on today or not. He's like, I'll listen if I get to come on. But no, of course I'm only kidding with Dax. I can kid around with Dax. He's got some tough skin. Not like everyone. But, hey, speaking of being tough, no, Dax isn't tough. I'm talking about you're tough because you're going to sign up for the Gleason's Fantasy Boxing Camp, and we want to follow you. And speaking of Dax wants to write a story about you. We want to write about what this whole experience is going to be meaning to you and everything else. So do yourself a favor. If you ever wondered what it took to be a boxer and what it was like to train and prepare for a fight and then actually get in there and fight somebody, that's what you got to join the Gleason's Gym Boxing Fantasy Camp, which is taking place in August. Go give him a call, 718-797-2872, or visit our website, www.BillyCBoxing.com, and click the Gleason's fight poster, which is on the right-hand side of the screen, and get there. Just tell him Billy C sent you, sign up, and, give us an email. Drop us an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing, BOXING.com. Oh, yeah. Right, you know how to spell boxing. It's the talking you mess up on. Drop the G. It's it's Billy@talkin, TALKINBOXING.com, or just send Dax an email, Dax@talkinboxing.com. If you sign up for the Gleason's thing, the fantasy camp, we want to follow you, so we're going to put everyone that signs up, their names in a hat. We're going to pull a drawing. We're going to announce it a couple of weeks before the camp actually starts, so we can do a preliminary article and all that happy stuff. So make sure you get involved with that. One other thing I wanted to mention, don't forget about the big fight this weekend up in Albany at the Times Union Center. Star Boxing is continuing their busy schedule so far in 2012, and they got a really good one now. It is going to be an ESPN Friday Night Fight card. Raymond Serrano against Kareem Mayfield. This is a great matchup, man. I was talking to Joe DeGuardia, the promoter of Star Boxing, yesterday, and he was asking me, are you going to be there? You're going to, and unfortunately, I didn't know at the time, but I had a last minute thing where I hope you guys tune in and watch. I'm going to be doing the commentary for a fight card out of Tampa. I will get you all the information I possibly can for tomorrow's show. I do know that it's being put on by Alessi Promotions. And I know that it's going to be a webcast, and how it's going to be and where it's going to be available and all that stuff, that I don't know. But I will find out today. But Joe was asking me, hey, what do you think about the card? And I told him, it's a great card, man. And if you guys want to get tickets, Albany's not that far if you're in the New York City area or obviously if you're listening on WMML, you're 40 minutes away. Get yourself some tickets, man. Call up the Times Union Center, buy tickets, tell them Billy C sent you and ask for the discount. Or the best bet is to go to our website, www.BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the fight poster that you'll see, and that'll take you right to Star Boxing. Demand a Billy C discount, and don't forget about the Billy C Bucks, man, because if you're not taking advantage of that, you're stupid. You're stupid if you're not, because it doesn't cost you nothing. But anyway, we're talking about shows and quality shows. I just told you there's a good one at Times Union. We got the Whitehall Athletic Club. We got a bunch of shows coming up there, and we're hoping that you get involved with that. If you do visit the Lake George area in the summer, if you come up for the summertime, and it's a tourist spot, consider joining the Whitehall Athletic Club. A lot of stuff there: boating, fishing, archery. They have a shooting range, both indoors and outdoors. They have a golf course. I mentioned fishing and boating. They have the sports stuff. They have tennis and basketball and pools and saunas and weight rooms and all that stuff. Check it out, www.whitehallathletic.com. Tell them Billy C sent you, and keep your eyes and nose peeled, because I'm going to be announcing a show real soon that we're going to be doing a pro boxing show up there. So, speaking of shows, main events. Now, I admit, I got a little crush on Kathy Duve. I admit it. But the thing is this: they put on some decent shows of late, and they got 3 more coming up, all in 1 month. And it starts off in this weekend on May 19th, coming out of Texas. And the main event actually is going to be Jerry Belmontes, who I call the Corpus Christi Kid because I love that nickname. He's undefeated, 15-0 with 5 knockouts, and he's going to be taking on Ramimus Gill, who's 7-3-5. Now, when you look at a guy with a record of 7-3, that's a respectable record. But when you see 5 draws on his record, this guy could be 12 wins and 3 losses. So this is a tough guy. And I think the Corpus Christi Kid is going to be tested in this fight. That's the main event. The co-main event is actually an important card for the heavyweight division, an important fight for the heavyweight division when you think about it. Orlando Solis, who we were talking about in the chat room yesterday, his team, the way they make it sound like, he was winning. Everyone knew he was going to beat Klitschko. First of all, he didn't finish the round. He didn't win the round because he was knocked down and out eventually because of his knee. It wasn't from a punch, but still, it goes in the books as a lost round for him. He's coming back from that serious knee injury, and he wasn't BSing about it. He stayed in Germany for a month to get it repaired. And he's taking on a pretty tough guy in Konstantin Eric, who's 23-5 with 2 draws himself. He's got 17 knockouts. That's the co-main event in the heavyweight division. Then, a couple of weeks after that, we got another fight that's going to be taking place on the NBC Sports Network. And the main event there, because of some injuries and stuff, is going to be Gabriel Rosado, who's a tough Philly fighter, tough Philly fighter. He's going to be on that main event, and he's going to be in a good one when he takes on Shu Pal. Now, I think Shu Pal is an overrated fighter, so Rosado, a lot of people might think Shu Pal is the guy that is the one to beat, but Rosado's a tough guy. Don't look at a 19-5 record and say to yourself he's not that tough, because he is. So I love that fight. But the co-main event on that one is another good one. Ronald Cruz is undefeated at 16-0, and he's taking on Prentice Brewer, who's only been beaten 1 time and both of these guys fighting in the welterweight division. Brewer's 16 wins and a loss with a draw as well, so that's going to be a good one. And then the third fight of the 3-1 coming up real quick is going to be another good one when Eddie Chambers and Tomas Adamek fight in that fight. Now, Eddie Chambers, in my opinion, is pretty much of a finished fighter, but I kind of like the fight. We'll see what happens with that one. So we're giving a thumbs up to main events, and that'll come up a little later. And in case you don't know what I'm talking about, we do another show following the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show. We do a thumbs up, thumbs down show immediately following. Now, that show will not be taking place tomorrow, by the way, anywhere. It won't be taking place on Fight Now. It won't be taking place here. It won't be on the podcast. It won't be anywhere. There will not be a thumbs up, thumbs down show for Thursday and Friday. You got to see everything on Fight Now. So, Lamont, you dummy, Peterson. Man, what a tailspin that this poor kid has taken. And I say poor kid when I really shouldn't, because anybody that's cheating shouldn't be doing that stuff, you know, but especially the stuff he was doing. But they claim that they want an opportunity to, you know, no, I don't have the 5 minutes to spare tomorrow, Murphy, and it takes about 8 minutes to do, and then there's a whole bunch of other stuff after it. And unfortunately, I don't, because I'll be pulling the other OJ before everybody remembers him, you know, in a white Bronco driving down the thruway. You know, he used to run through airports trying to catch planes and stuff. But that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. But the thing is this: Lamont Peterson and his team. And I don't mean his training team, I mean his lawyer team, are going to be presenting their case to the Nevada State Athletic Commission when they meet their next time for the June monthly meeting for the Nevada State Athletic Commission to try and get a license. Now, Lamont Peterson was not licensed in the state of Nevada. Most states do a yearly license. So when you get a license at a state, you're licensed for that state for 1 year. Now, some of them do a calendar year, and some of them do a year. So if you get for the year, so in other words, if you get licensed in January of 2012 in the state of Nevada, I'm just saying, I don't want to. I'm not 100% sure how they work it, but let's say in the state of, I'm not going to say a state because somebody will tell me you're wrong. Let's just say the state of XYZ. If they have a calendar year license that expires in a calendar year, that means if you sign up in March of 2012, your license will expire in March of 2013. But most of the commissions do a yearly license, which means if you sign up in December of 2012, you got to get another license for January of 2013. And likewise, if you got your license in January of 2012, it doesn't expire until the next year. So Lamont Peterson is not licensed in the state of Nevada yet. They already canceled the fight. Keith Kaiser, who's the director of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, he said, and I quote, "It's going to be Peterson's burden to prove he didn't engage in any improper activities or that he has legitimate reasons for doing so." He says the commission will give him a full and fair opportunity to present his case. However, that because Peterson, this is coming from Keith Kaiser, he says, however, because Peterson has admitted to taking the banned substance, whatever the reason is, obtaining a license with the state of Nevada will be an uphill battle. Those were the exact words of Keith Kaiser, which means you ain't getting a license in Nevada, Lamont, you dummy Peterson. So now, you know, if they suspend him, you see, this is going to be the kicker. If the Nevada State Athletic Commission suspends him, issues a suspension, and does not give him a license because of that suspension, chances are he will not be licensed in any other state. However, if they decide not to license him for reasons that, you know, they come up with something like, well, he's not good for the sport of boxing or whatever, because they have the prerogative. They have the choice whether they want to license a fighter or not. And if they decide not to, then technically their reason will be published through the ABC. But other states wouldn't be really, criticized if they decided to license him. So we'll have to wait and see. All we know is that he's not fighting Amir Khan this weekend, which kind of sucks. But Carlos Molina is going to be fighting again on June 16th in Corpus Christi. That's right. And we'll see if the Corpus Christi kid is on that one. But he's going to be fighting. We don't know against who, but we'll see who he is. He's 16-0. See who he fights against. He's 16-0 with a draw. 7 knockouts. He's out of California. So we'll see how that goes. Now, I was talking about yesterday about a fight taking place in Canada this weekend against Diary Jean or Jean. He's 21-0. And he was supposed to be taking on Cosme Rivera, who's a veteran and a tough guy, actually. And, it was changed yesterday. Right after the show, it turned out that Rivera is having some visa issues, could not get to Canada. So, therefore, they have replaced him with Leonardo Tyner. Now, Tyner isn't a bad opponent, man. It's just going to be a good test for Jean or Jean, however you say his last name. You know me. We'll have to wait and see. What takes place with that one, because I thought that the Cosmo Rivera fight was going to be a good test for him, and Leonardo Tyner is going to be a good one too. So it was announced yesterday that there's going to be another fight on May 25th next week. You got Robert Red Hot Frankel. He's got 30 wins, 11 losses, and a draw. He's going to be going up against Cleotis Mookie Pendarvis, who's only lost 3 times. He's 14-3-2. And this is going to be for the vacant WBC, USNBC, ABCD, EFG, HIJK, LMNOP junior welterweight title. Everybody wants that one. Wow. It's taking place May 25th. So, after you're done throwing up, if you want to get tickets for that, who cares? Honestly, that's... Red Hot Frankel is a good fighter. Don't go by his record. He should be able to take care of Mookie Pendarvis because Pendarvis, he's been in with some tough guys, but we'll have to wait and see. Speaking of tough guys, Edwin La Bamba Rodriguez. No, I'm not on ESPN, but he is this like a... It seems like it's the common theme, All the Lou DiBella's fighters have to beg and scratch and try to get in the mix and stuff. I mean, where's Lou, man? How come Lou's not cutting this deal? La Bamba Rodriguez went on his own to say that he's willing to step up and replace Andre Durrell, who was slated to fight for the vacant WBC super middleweight title. When he got injured in a motorcycle crash. And the number 2 guy, who obviously is, maybe it's not obvious, but to me he's the opponent, even though he's 24-0 with 7 knockouts, Nikolai Sajukla, and I know I just murdered that. He's ranked at number 2 by the lowly WBC, who I spit on the WBC. Yeah, you guys know how I am with the WBC, but the bottom line is La Bamba Rodriguez, who I don't even know where he's rated. I know he's rated in our rankings down at the bottom, number 10 or something, or maybe even 11. But he's willing to step up and fight, Spicolo, whatever, the Polish kid. He's willing to fight him. So we'll see what happens. You remember the freight train? No, not the one you tried to pick up when you thought you were Superman. I'm talking about Brian, the guy that lost on NBC's Fights, Sports Network, when he fought Bryant Jennings. And Bryant Jennings subsequently has gone on to, become a guy that people want to see, including myself. I love this kid. Small for a heavyweight, in my opinion, Bryant Jennings. And Bryant Jennings was the one that beat Sergio Lukaevich. And now he's going to be getting another fight. But the other guy that was in that mix, the freight train, Maurice Bryan, he lost for the first time in his career. Well, he feels he's getting another opportunity, and he's looking to take advantage of it in his next fight. So we'll have to wait and see about that. He's taking on a guy that is being regarded as really one of the next heavyweights to keep an eye on, and his name is Magomed Abdulzamov, and it's going to be taking place July 6th in Las Vegas, and we'll have to wait and see. Two young heavyweights. Now, Abdulzamov is a knockout fighter. He goes for the knockout. And we saw the freight train wasn't so much of a freight train. I mean, he seemed like he got winded a little bit, and he didn't seem too fast. So, like he said, and I quote, "This is my shot at redemption." I agree with him. It is going to be his shot at redemption, and hopefully he will do what he's got to do. Finally, the last thing I wanted to talk about a little bit here is Antonio Tarver. Now, he made a statement yesterday. Of course, he's promoting his show, so, you know how everybody is these days. They like to talk a little smack. They think that's the only way to promote themselves against another fighter and what have you. But he says that because Latif Coyote had predicted that he's going to knock out Tarver. And Latif Coyote is quoted as saying he's mad, he's furious, he's this, he's that, blah, blah, blah. And Tarver says yesterday, this guy's predicting he'll knock me out in the fifth round. If Coyote comes in with that type of recklessness, he can be out before that, because he's never been hit by someone who can punch as hard as me. Antonio, you must be watching the tapes of the Roy Jones Jr. fight when you had somewhat of power and that you've been living off that one punch for your whole friggin' career. And he goes on to say, after he did that, and it's not just my punching power. I'm a sharpshooter. I punch organs. I target organs, your liver, your kidney, your heart. I don't punch mass. I punch organs. I punch that chin. Remember, the chin is not a muscle, so you can have all the muscles surrounding your neck and your body, your chest, your abs, because if I touch that chin in the right way, it's lights out, baby. There's no more guys like me. Shane Mosley's lost. Bernard Hopkins lost. I'm the last Mohegan. I'm the last guy who's 40-plus. And like the rest of the 40-plus guys, you're going to get knocked out too, Antonio. And Antonio, I think you're making a huge mistake. Not that Latif Coyote is any kind of world beater, but Antonio Tarver has a really good little niche going. He does a fantastic job. Yes, Alex, I'm using that word fantastic again. He does a fantastic job on Showtime. I think he's one of the best color guys the sport has to offer. And I do not think he's one of the best boxers the sport has to offer today, yesterday, or any day. I think that he was an overrated fighter. I know I'm heading into Tampa. I'm probably going to get shot and killed at the airport over this. But the truth of the matter is that this is a guy that basically made his career on one fight. And, I don't think he's going to beat. I think Latif Coyote is I don't think he's that great of a fighter at this stage. But I'm telling you, he's going to beat Tarver, and not only is he going to beat Tarver, he's probably going to knock Tarver out. And he hasn't had a knockout in his last 2 or 3 fights, Latif Coyote. So Tarver he's a typical athlete that just doesn't know when to say when. And I think that he's going to be paying for it. And when push comes to shove, I think he's going to regret it, because he can't possibly be making enough money. Maybe he is. I don't know. But we'll have to wait and see. It's coming up, and we'll see. I just, I'm not a big fan of either one. But when I look at these two fighters, I think Tarver said it best. He's the last of the Mohegan, last of the 40-plus guys. It just doesn't last, and he's going to be right. He's going to be added to the same pile that they're on.
Wake up. It's time for
It's too early for a trivia question.
All right. Now, today's trivia question is being sponsored by Star Boxing and their Times Union ESPN Friday Night Fights event, which is taking place tomorrow night, or Friday night, I'm sorry. get yourself some tickets, you could visit our website, www.BillyCBoxing.com. Click the Star Boxing fight poster on the right-hand side, and we'll take you right there. Make sure you demand a Billy C discount. I would tell you to come up and say hello to me, but it just turned out that I'm not going to be there. Now, we've had this trivia question for a long time. And on the line, we actually threw a couple of good things. We got the Billy Miskey book by Clay Moyle. It's his latest. You can get yourself a copy of it by visiting www.BillyCBoxing.com and check out the book club because you can get special pricing and signed issues there. But I was trying to give it away. I even bloistered it a little bit, and courtesy of Pugilistica.com, we have a commemorative collector's edition of a phone card that was issued in the late 1990s on Rocky Marciano. And the question was, when was the first bout in which the details of the official scoring were announced by the ring announcer? I gave you guys all these hints. I did everything. And finally, yesterday, I gave a hint of, I told you what year it was. I told you what year it was. And we finally got a winner. Yes, we have winner. And the winner happens to be my main man, all the way from the Philippines, my man Mac. He knew the answer, and he emailed me. And the answer is, when was the first bout in which the details of the scoring were announced by the ring announcer? The answer, Tippy Larkin versus Lulu Castellano, which was a lightweight bout at Madison Square Garden on February 9th in 1944. Instead of saying the winner is, the announcer, whose name was George Cobb, said Judge Joe Agualo scored it 9-1 in favor of Larkin, Judge Sam Robinson 8-2 in favor of Larkin, and referee Arthur Suskin 9-1 in favor of Larkin. The winner, by unanimous decision, Tippy Larkin. And from that day forward, the ring announcers announced the official scoring. So congratulations to Mac. Thank you for putting everybody out of their misery and suffering through this question. I guarantee you all I will recycle this question and use it. I am going to send the Billy Miskey book, courtesy of Clay Moyle, and the collector's phone card, courtesy of Pugilistica.com, out to my man Mac in the Philippines. It's probably going to cost me $5,000 to ship it, but I'm going to do it. He's going to get it mailed to him today. Congratulations, Mac. Great job there. Now, today's It's Too Early for a Trivia question. On the line for today's question, another great prize. I'm crazy. I'm giving away prizes. It's a brand new version of the Title Bout Championship computer game. It's worth about $40. It's a great simulation game, and it's going to go to you if you know this answer. Who fought the most fights? Yeah, it's one of those. Who fought the most fights from 1940 through 1949? Who fought the most fights between 1940 and 1949? If you know that answer, email me, Billy at TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com.
This day in boxing history.
And finally, this day in boxing history is being brought to us by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That's Campanaro and Tomkovich. And by the way, it's worth it to go in there. They got some gorgeous girls in that office. 845-221-4099. 845-221-4099. Let Campanaro and Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. 845-221-4099. On this day, May 16th in 1998, Jean-Baptiste Mendy wins a 12-round decision over Orzubek Nazarov to win the WBA World Lightweight title, and that took place on this day, May 16th in 1998, in Paris, France. It took place in Paris, France. That concludes our show for today. Don't forget, we got the thumbs up, thumbs down immediately following this show. Programming note, the only way you'll get to see Friday's show is on the Fight Now channel, so make sure you call your local TV provider and tell them that you want Fight Now right now. But right now, I got one more thing to say. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning, same bad time, same bad channel, the Fight Now channel. Call your local television provider right now and tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple. Pick up the phone and call them for all the information about the channel. You can find it at their website, www.fightnow.com. See you all tomorrow. Ciao, baby.